How are ya? How are ya? How are ya? And welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Shop with Russ. We're glad to have y'all out there this afternoon. I'm glad to have everybody down there on the panel. And tonight we are going to go to Steve Twydell's shop, and he's going to do some glass etching on a mirror and on a glass. And plus, he does a lot of turning, and I kind of feel bad because he does a lot more turning than he does anything else. But we've had so many things being turned lately that he come up with the glass thing for us so that we wouldn't have to do some more turning. But we are going to talk about some of his turnings because he's showing some of us before the show started, and I thought that was pretty good. Let me see real quick. Hello out there, everybody. Robert Evans is over there. Donna Presley, Opa, Ken, Jeff Robinson, Ken from Ken Moon. Y'all are all over there in the chat. Good to see y'all over there. We got a full chat out there. That's really great. And let's see if I can get this. I can see the chat, but I can't see us. So let's see if I can remedy this and go in here and take care of something. I'll tell you what, while I'll get started on is having everybody introduce themselves. And Steve, I'll let you go last. And before we get to you, I'll do the announcements, but I'll let you go last. So I won't forget about you. But yeah, let's go ahead and do the introductions, and I'll start on my left. And the first one on my left is Mr. Charles Deering.
Deadly day. I'm Charles Deering. On YouTube, I go by Charles Deering Scroll. Otherwise, for the rest of my social media, go to woodenvisions.com and go to the link section, and the rest of them should show there. Thanks for having me.
Very good. And next in line is Mr. Chris Ahern.
Hey guys, Chris Ahern at the Yellow Cranky Workshop. You can find me on Facebook and on YouTube at the Yellow Cranky Workshop. And for those who have said there's been no video lately, you are correct, but I am working on one right now. There's one in production. So stand by. There's something coming out for the holidays. Next.
Cool. Yeah, I'm still having problems trying to get this stupid thing to log in on over there on YouTube. It doesn't like me to be on two logins on YouTube for some reason. I don't know why. But next is Mr. Dave Gatton.
Thank you, Russ. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff under Dave Gatton. And thanks for having me on, Russ.
You're welcome. And don't you have something else you want to mention, by the way?
Do I?
Don't you have something else you want to mention?
What should I be mentioning?
You're promoting your giveaway, or I mean the Christmas thing. I mean.
Oh yeah. For anybody that might have a CNC, I'm doing the 2016 Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge. Already starting to get a few videos in on that already. So you can check out on Sidewinder's CNCSidewinder.com website. You can find the rules and entry information, and just make a little video and send me a link, and we'll be announcing the winners on the January 7th show. And
when does it end? December?
The Christmas challenge runs through Black Friday yesterday, right up to midnight Christmas Eve.
Midnight Christmas Eve. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And here I am. I've got myself locked on, so none of y'all are getting any exposure. But we don't want to expose you. I'm sorry. All right. So anyway, next is Donald's pick coming up. We sure don't want Donald exposed. Lord have mercy. Is Donald Matthews?
No, that would scare a lot of people. Let me see here. Who am I now? I'm Donald Matthews, also known as Donald Vlogsify. My YouTube channel is Donald Vlogsify's Woodshop. I have my Instagram, Twitter, and all that is on my YouTube channel. And I have a website called redneckknowhow.com. That's everything. I'll try to keep my clothes on.
I hope so. And then John Schaffner.
Oh, this is going to be a great party tonight. Hi, everybody. I'm John Schaffner up here in beautiful central New York. You can find me on Facebook under my name. You can find me on YouTube under my name. And it's eventually here, thanks to Dremal Technologies, I will have a website up probably right after the first of the year.
That would be great. And then Mr. Mark Lindsay.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I am Mark Lindsay. No, I'm not the guy from Paul Revere and the Raiders. And you can find me here on Facebook or here on YouTube and on Facebook under this name, Mark Lindsay. And when I can remember, I'm also on Instagram. But thank you for having me, Russ.
You're welcome. And then Mr. Russ Meadows.
Hey everybody, Russ Meadows here. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and not too much longer on YouTube under Rusty Nails Woodshop.
Great. All right. Really the only announcement I have is let's don't forget about the 3 Saturdays of Christmas. They are the 3rd, 10th, and 17th, I believe it is. We will have a giveaway all 3 Saturdays. We'll start off with probably some small stuff and work our way up to the grand prize on the last Saturday, but don't forget about that. And then I just got the last information from the winners of the scroll saw contest. So I will be, now I'm able to start sending out the prizes. So those will be, not necessarily me, but letting everybody know who they're going to be sending the prizes out to. I got the last information, I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then the only other thing I have to say is my sponsors. Thank you to Devolable Technologies for web design, development, and hosting. Visit devolable.com and Orangewood. I'm really doing good tonight. Olivewood 2000 for beautiful, elegant, Holy Land Olivewood. Visit Olivewood 2000 on eBay today. And FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. I think we've got all that out of the way, and we'll be on to our guest, who is Mr. Steve Twydell from Templeboy Turnings. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you, Ross. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So you're way over there in Ireland.
I am, yeah. County Sligo in the west of Ireland, right on the coast, and it's very cold at the moment.
Oh, what's the temperature?
It's like -4 at the moment.
Ooh, yeah, that's a little nippy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And then you're what, is about 12 or 1 o'clock at night, I think we said?
Yeah, it's 1:10 now. 1:10. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry for you having to stay up so late, but
listen, I'm up all the time anyway. Anyone that knows me on Facebook and YouTube, they know I'm up pretty much always, so it's no problem.
Okay, cool. So tonight you're going to show us how to do some etching in glass and on glass, or a mirror and on glass. So that's cool. I haven't seen this done, and you're doing it with a Dremal tool, right?
Yeah, well, it's a cheaper version of a Dremel. I can't afford expensive Dremels.
I understand, but it's a little handheld
yeah,
carver, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a multi-tool or a hand carver. It's called plenty of different names, but yeah, that's the concept. Yeah.
Now, what do you?
I use so it's the multi-tool, but it has a flexi drive on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's more like using a pen than holding the big unit in your hand.
Right.
It's just a lot handier.
Yes. What kind of a bit do you use?
They're small diamond tip, very cheap again. I don't know if you can see those.
Oh yeah.
So they come in a set like that, and I think they're about €3 or €4, which would probably be about $5 for a set of those. So it's a very cheap hobby.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's all yours. Whatever you want to go for.
Thank you. Okay. Well, hi to everyone. Hi to everyone that's in the chat. I see you're all pretty busy out there at the moment. It's not going to be a great in-depth demonstration. I'm just working from the laptop camera. I wasn't able to set the the proper camera up. But I'm going to turn you around in a minute, and I'll just go through the principles of marking out onto the mirror and then just doing the etching. We probably won't do the whole project because it's a bit noisy, and we don't want to deafen and run anybody off of the chat. So I just get my mirrors from I don't know what I think you call them a big box store over there, do you? Like a budget store?
Oh yeah, we have our budget stores are called like dollar stores, Dollar Tree, Dollar
Okay,
Stores.
yeah, we'd have the same. That the Euro Giants and things like that. And I pick up these cheap mirrors. This one's still wrapped in the plastic. So they're just a cheap mirror with a wooden frame. And sometimes I'll take the mirror out of the frame. I'll make my own frames and make them a little bit more expensive looking. And then I put whatever picture I'm putting onto them. And they go really good at markets. And you can do these pretty quickly, especially around Christmas. That's what I'm going to do this evening is a Christmas theme. I'll show you the picture now. 1 second now. I'm actually not in my full workshop. I'm in the small shed at home because I don't have great internet connection up at my workshop. I work from it's actually my wife's old home place where she grew up, and it's no longer livable. It's a very old, I think it's about 80 years old, an old cottage. So I work from there. So there's not great internet there. So this is basically what I'm going to be working with. You know, if it's going to be backwards, it's backwards. Put it this way. But it's Happy Christmas, and then we're doing just like a little Santa Claus.
Oh, cool.
Okay. And the way I put that onto the mirror is I already have, I don't know whether it's gonna be very hard with the light here with the camera. I don't know, can you see Santa is kind of marked on the mirror there? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so the way I do that, I use carbon paper, which you can get from any supplies, any kind of office supplies. It's just a sheet of carbon paper that you'd use for doing receipts and things like that, putting between 2 sheets of paper. And you literally just lay that on the mirror and you draw over it, and it marks it straight onto the mirror, which is very handy. Now, the only trouble with the carbon on the mirror is you have to be very aware of it so you work away from the mark that you've put onto the mirror, because it will rub off very quickly with your hand, and then trying to go back and match on top of it again is very difficult. So what I do, if it's a very intricate piece with a lot of detail, is I tape the whole carbon and the picture, the main picture, at the top of the mirror, so I can flip it backwards and forwards just in case anything does move. It will go exactly back onto the same spot. And then it's just literally just a matter of going over the top of your lines and etching it in and filling it in. And there's all different size bits that I work with, but the main bits would be that they're a ball. I don't know if we're going to see this, if it will focus.
Yeah, ball nose.
But they're a ball. So there's 3 different size balls on the end of there, and you can get different details with the different size ball, and then you can use there's a harsher grit, a finer grit, and you know, it gives you a different effect on the mirror. So what I do is I'll just start etching this out now for you. Now, I don't know how easy it's going to be to see it, but what I'll do is I'll do a bit at a time. You can kind of watch in the background as I'm doing it, and I'll do a bit at a time, and I'll keep showing you how it's going. I'm going to turn this screen off just here because I think it's affecting the light. Excuse me a second. No, that's probably better. Okay. So let me just get my tool over here. Like I say, it'll be a bit noisy while I'm etching. So bear with me. What I might do is maybe if I mute the mic, easier on.
We'll try it. I can mute you. If not, just remember when you come back to check, because you can't talk or we can't hear you. A lot of times when a loud tool comes on, it'll automatically like kill it down so it doesn't. We can't hear it.
Okay, yeah, it's not too bad, but we'll see anyway. We'll go with it. So this tool has a variable speed, and because these are cheap mirrors, your cheaper mirror would be a thinner glass. So you have to be very careful when you're etching thinner glass. If the more dearer you go with your mirrors, and when you start getting, like I've had some people have brought mirrors to me and they'd be a quarter or quarters of an inch thick glass with the mirror, and you can go at that as if it was a piece of timber and it wouldn't crack. But these lighter mirrors, they crack very easy, so it's very light touches with them. All right, so I've got there's 6 speeds on this. I generally work around about 4 on the speed, because obviously the faster it's going, the more it will dig in as you touch the mirror. Okay, so I'm just going to crack on with this, and I'll come back to you then. Let's see that. So that's, am I on? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that just goes to show you how quick you can do it. I mean, that's the whole outline of the Santa Claus. I'll just give it a quick wipe there. And you can, I don't know, you can probably, if I get the shadow out of the way, I don't know.
Yeah, we can tell it. That's cool.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that cuts it right into the mirror. You don't have to go super deep, but it's a really cool effect. Okay, and then what you can do is you just look at the colors in, I'll show you the original picture again. You can just look at the colors then, and just where the red and the black is where I'm going to color in, because I think the beard, if you leave it as mirror, it'll look kind of cool. Okay,
right.
So I'll do a bit of shading now, and it's not too loud for you guys, is it? No.
No. We're
No,
fine.
not at all. There is a question in the chat room. Folks want to know about how many mirrors have you broken doing that?
Telling the truth, I've probably broken. I used to do this before I did wood turning. I'm only wood turning around about 2 years, but I did this to make a bit of money when I wasn't working, and I used to sell them to just around local stores and stuff like that. I've probably etched in the region of about 300 or 400 mirrors, and I can honestly say I've probably broken about 5.
That's a pretty good ratio. So 5 times 7 is 35. So you only have 35 years bad luck.
Yeah, yeah. So now one of those I will say was a really expensive mirror that someone had asked me to etch. And I was actually carrying it out of the car and I tripped on the curb and it just touched on the wall of the house and it took the corner off of it.
Wow.
But they were very good about it. They were very good about it. So and they got a very big discount.
Yeah, and a lot of people are mentioning about that tool that you were using. That is his version, the UK's version or version of a Dremel, and he's got a flexible. If you want to hold that up again, a flexible shaft onto it. So it's just,
so it's the name of the brand is it's a Guild. It's backwards because I'm on the laptop. I think it's coming backwards to you, is it?
We can see it right. It looks backwards, right, but we see it right.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a Guild. And this was, I got the tool, the flexi drive. I got, show you here. I got this carry box with it, and I got all the cutting bits, diamond bits, there's drill bits, saws, polishing kits. That was all €25.
So what is that in American?
Which would be probably about $30, I suppose.
That's not bad.
And this is done. I bought this. I think I bought this around about this quite new about 4 months ago, and it's done a lot of work. I use it for carving wood as well.
Yeah, you can find rotary tools like that here in the States. Same kind of deal. It's not quite as expensive as the Dremel tools are.
Yeah. Dremel, the Dremel brand, so to speak, is quite expensive, but you can go to other brands. I actually have one that is if I'm going to do wood carving now, I don't think I would try it on the mirrors because it's too aggressive. But I have a pneumatic one that actually runs off of air. In other words. Yeah. And,
yeah, that's for metal and the likes of that. Yeah. I've had three Dremels, and I burnt them out a lot quicker than the cheaper tools. Now, whether that's because I'm using them not necessarily for what they're designed, I think Dremels are more for
a hobby person.
Yeah, well, these are hobby tools, but whatever it is about the Dremel, the motors just don't seem to take a heavy load. They're fine doing stuff like this, where you're not necessarily digging into a lot of material and you're not slowing the motor down. But as soon as you're doing any kind of carving in wood or anything like that, where the motor's getting some load and it's starting to dig into what you're cutting, the motor just doesn't seem to be able to handle being slowed down and sped up and slowed down. It just, all three of them burnt out exactly the same. They just got slower and slower and slower and then just died within. But these cheaper ones, I think with the Dremel as well, the brushes don't last very long. They seem to burn out really quickly, but these ones seem to have a harder brush, whatever it is, whatever the carbon fiber or whatever it is that the brushes are made out of. They just seem to be a lot more durable, and they're cheaper to replace. I mean, everything with the brand name Dremel on it is you're paying 3 times as much as well. Even the bits.
It used to be with the Dremel, if you burn one out, it wasn't that bad because they didn't used to be all that expensive. But like when I bought mine, mine was one of the higher up models, and I got it for like $50 years ago. And I went in there to price something similar, and they were talking like $80-90. So it's not so cheap to replace anymore.
It's I don't know. It's just parts as well. I don't know. I'd rather buy a cheaper tool, get a lot of work out of it and kill it, and just buy a new one. Because I mean, I've got probably 2 or 3 of these cheaper ones, and I'll keep the newer one going with the older ones. I'll take the parts off of it. So I mean, if the spindle gets warped, I can just swap it out with ones that are broken as well. And I just use I've got a scrapyard of tools that I just take bits off and keep mine going. And when I run out of bits, then I just go and buy a new one. So, do you know? But I mean, they're making their money back 1,000 times over. You know, I mean, 25 quid for a tool is nothing when you're selling your products and markets. So,
I had a question here, Jeff. Let's see if Jeff Robinson wants to know: do you do any sandblasting or etching on the back of the mirror?
No, I've not tried that. No, I've done scraping, where you take the silver away from it, but it's not as nice an effect. It just effectively turns it to glass, and it's just not as nice an effect. What I do, I'll show you in a little while, is I add color to them. So when you it might not actually work on this one because there's a lot of masking off and things like that when you're doing a lot of detail with color. What you can do is you can mask off the whole mirror, and the area that you've ground away in theory is like a rough powder. So you can take a Sharpie or you can take ink and you can add color into that mirror and then hit it with a spray lacquer and then take off the masking from the rest of the mirror. So if you're wiping the mirror then later on, the lacquer will protect the color. So you can add color into the mirror as well, which is nice.
Cool. Well, go ahead.
Right, I shall carry on here. So I just want to make a point there just while I'm doing that. Obviously, when you're etching this mirror, where you've got a joint of an arm, I don't know if you can see that there.
Yes.
So where you can see the arm joins to the body, it'd be very tempting just to kind of shade it all in, but then you'd lose the definition of the arms to the body. So when you're doing your picture and you're etching it onto the mirror, you'd want to kind of draw a slight line to the left or right of your marked line on the mirror and keep to that. So you're leaving just a slight line of mirror left on so you've got to think of definition when you're scribing onto these mirrors, of keeping body parts and definition and things like that, and you're leaving mirror. It'd be kind of when you guys are doing your scroll saw and you have to think ahead of where your cuts are going to be, because you can cut a piece out and it completely changes the look of the picture.
Right. So I understand what you're saying. You have to leave some areas that are shiny, mirror shiny, so that you have
exactly, yeah. Because you could just go ahead and color it in, but because you're not using markers or pencils, it's very different. You're actually taking material away. So once you've taken it away, you can't add it back on again. So you've always got to be thinking ahead when you're doing this.
Have you ever tried? This is a little bit off the subject, but you know how you can take, if you print something out on your computer, you can take that and put it onto a piece of wood or fabric sometimes and get it to transfer over. Have you ever tried doing that on a mirror?
I have. I've tried an inkjet printer on the mirror, but the way that works on wood is that you put it on and then you wet it and you soak it, and the chemicals that you put onto that then transfer it onto the wood, and it soaks into the grain of the wood. There's no grain on a mirror, so what happens is when you lay your transfer on and you try and rub it on, as you pull it away, it leaves bits or it takes pieces away, and you don't get and if it's a picture with a lot of detail as well, you won't get great detail. It will take pieces away. So I've just found this is, to be honest with you, I'm quite lucky that I can pretty much draw straight from a picture freehand. So a lot of pieces that I'll do, I'll just look at a picture and I'll do it freehand. For that Santa Claus there, for example, I'd be able to do that freehand. I'm only just doing this to demonstrate what you could do if you're not necessarily great at drawing.
Right.
But I found that the carbon paper is a lot easier way of transferring it on, but you do have to be very careful. Like you can see there, I've smudged the happy already with my thumb. You have to think ahead, and I think you'd be better off just transferring a piece at a time as you go along and work on the piece that you've put onto the mirror, because you could just wipe it off, and like I say, going back to it again, then it doesn't look great.
Right.
There was another question.
I got a question on that.
Yeah.
They were asking if you tried it on mirrored plexiglass and would it work?
I've never seen mirrored plexiglass. I would assume it would, because anything that has a shiny surface that you can take that surface away, then yeah, I mean, it's like plywood. Do you know, you've got 4 or 5 different cores of different colored woods. You take the top surface away, you can carve into, you can do exactly this onto plywood and still have the same.
Without the mirror, you can still etch it. And
I would think it would work. I think it would work too.
The only thing with plexiglass and these tools is because it'll build up a lot of friction,
heat, and it'll melt it.
And it wouldn't melt. Yeah. I'd be tempted if I was. What I do as well is I do a lot of work with CDs and CD cases. And what I'm experimenting with at the moment is using the pyrography tool and actually burning into the plastic. So I would be tempted to do that before I'd use a Dremel, because at least you can control the heat on a pyrography tool. Is there any more questions?
I got a question on that.
Yeah.
I do have one. Because when you're drawing that pattern, you know, if I'm using carbon paper like that, I have a tendency to rest my hand on the paper while I'm drawing, and that would tend to get on the mirror, and you'd have to get that off too, or what?
Yeah. So what you can do is, if you know where you're going to be resting your hand, pretty much you'll know the size of the picture. You'll know where you'll be resting your hand. It'll be pretty much in the one one area. If you're working with your wrist, it'll be pretty much in the one area. So what I tend to do is just lay a sheet of tissue paper in underneath the carbon where your hand's going to be, and that way the carbon will go onto the tissue paper but not onto your workpiece.
Well, with the pneumatic engraver I've got, you can actually order some adhesive paper that you can print the design on it and peel off the back and stick it straight onto the glass.
Cool.
Do your outline and take a scraper and scrape the rest of it off. You just got to be careful not to scratch the glass.
Yeah, I suppose the same as that. What you could do is you could just get some of the paper that you print off stickers. When you print your own stickers, you could do that too. Yeah, you could just.
I was thinking that same thing as soon as you mentioned that. Just get labels and just print your thing onto the label and stick the label on, and then
yeah,
and
exactly.
Then pull the rest of the label off after you get through.
Yeah. Denatured alcohol takes.
Yeah, I was going to say you can do something like alcohol or lacquer thinner or something to remove the sticker without any problem, because it don't hurt the glass.
Or I mean, it doesn't have to be stuck on there hard. What I've actually done with the stuff I use is, if it sticks a little bit too hard, I'll kind of like rub it on my pants leg or something to kind of cover up some of that sticky, and then put it on, and it holds it there long enough for me to get the carving done.
Yeah.
But then it comes right off without sticking. You know, when you stick something like that to glass, sometimes it's hard to get off. So.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've tried all sorts of things with these, and the carbon just seems to work better for me. But it's everyone's preference, I suppose. I mean, you know, it's.
Yeah.
Okay, how's the questions going there? Will I fire ahead?
Yeah, go back to your because we're 8:37. I mean, so.
Well, I got a quick question for you though. I'm far from the safety guy, trust me, but I notice you've got no gloves on. You know, just your regular glasses. Are there any little bits of glass that kick up?
Okay, so normally I would, just because I'm here talking, whenever I'm demonstrating, I do a lot of demonstrating on Facebook, and I do live demonstrations and things when I'm turning as well. I would wear goggles over my glasses. I have the goggles there. Somewhere. They're there anyway. I have the goggles there that I'd put on. Oh, they're actually hanging up there. Anyway, yeah. I have goggles put on. If I'm on the lathe, I'd have the full face shield. I'd actually wear a respirator mask with this as well, because it's glass that you're etching. Okay. This tiny little bit here, you can see most of the dust has gone down and gathered in the bottom of the mirror here. Glass doesn't tend to go airborne because it's a heavy material. It will drop down onto the desk or the bench where you are. But like that, if I'm doing a big mirror or a lot of work, I've got a really thin half-inch hose that comes from my that I can connect to my Hoover, and I'd hold that along with the piece, and as I'm doing it, it'll draw the glass away from it. But it's with gloves. No, I mean you can take that fine dust and you can rub it between your fingers and it won't even scratch the skin. It's really, really fine. It's like sand, I suppose.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not the guru at all either, so I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I am when I'm doing the big pieces and stuff like that. Listen, I'm not long after having a scare with my lungs and having to get scans and all that kind of stuff from wood turning, and it just turned out to be an infection but it did start getting the cogs spinning in the head, thinking have I done something to my lungs because I haven't been so careful in the past. So you can never be safe enough.
True.
Okay, so what I'll do is, because we're running short of time, I'll just finish the jacket, and I'll just show you that you can add in a little bit of color, and then we can kind of throw it out there and just talk about it a bit more then. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so that's pretty much the jacket done on Santa. If you can see that, can you?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. So as you can see, it really does stand out from the mirror.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
So if I'll get a Sharpie here. And like I say, what you do if you were going to color this piece like this, I would mask off as tight as I could get to the piece with masking tape, or you can. I sometimes use what they use in the auto body shop. You know, the paper that they put over for when they're spraying the cars. I'd sometimes use that. It's like a tacky sheet.
Right.
And I put that over the top and cut out just around so that you can spray lacquer and it wouldn't damage it wouldn't because the lacquer would take the shine away from the mirror. So I'll just add a bit of color in there. This is just a regular permanent Sharpie. That's all it is.
Have you tried anything other kind of paints, like, for instance, fingernail polish or any other kind of paint?
I've used spirit stains, but I have found that Sharpies or anything permanent like that just seems to because what you're doing is, in theory, you're actually making a grain. Once you're cut into that mirror and you're cutting into the glass, you've made a rough grain, so it's giving it something for the Sharpie to hold on to. Whereas if you just draw onto the mirror, I'll show you now in 1 second.
No, I understand what you're saying. I was just curious.
Yeah,
if you
I've tried acrylics. They just what I do is I try things and then I give them to my wife and she can use them and wash them and wipe them and use them for everyday use to test them, because there's no point giving them to a customer if in 3 weeks time they're going to be coming back to you saying, well, all the paint's washed off, that's no good. You know? Right. You can't just turn around and say, well, don't wash your mirror. So there you go. That
is cool.
So you can add any colors you want. You can add any colors into that, and like I say, mask it off and give it a couple of shots of clear lacquer, and yeah, it just really makes the mirror stand out. Do you know? And what really works nicely on mirrors is black on the mirror. If you're doing some sign writing for a shop or something like that, I've done a couple of hairdressers and barbershops that have had their logo put on the mirrors in the shop. If you use a black highlighter pen and just even round the wording just as a border, it really does define the writing on the mirror. Yeah, it pops. That's the American word for it. It pops.
Yes, Donna Presley, that is a permanent marker. He said it's a Sharpie, just a permanent marker Sharpie.
That's all it is. Yeah, I use permanent. If you watch my videos, I use Sharpies quite a lot in my projects.
I've learned to use them in a few things of mine. I had a pen one time that had that I did, and the wood was a real dark color, and it had a little spot in it that I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, I took a black Sharpie and put it in that area, and then took my finger and rubbed it, and it turned smoothed out. It looked exactly like the rest of the area. Put the CA glue over it and sold it. You'd have never known it.
Yeah, they're a great job. You can get brown permanent markers that if you
yes,
if you're wood turning and stuff like that, and you've got a slight crack appears in your piece, you can fill it with CA, and rather than sometimes the sawdust would be, it sounds strange, but when you're turning, sometimes the sawdust would actually end up being a lighter color than the actual workpiece.
Yeah,
even though it's the same wood. So when you add it into the CA and mix it and put it into the crack, you can still see the crack. So sometimes taking that brown Sharpie and just running along the line, it disappears sometimes, because you can match it in and you can make it darker and darker and darker until you get it the right.
Gary,
just to show you that. Sorry, Ross. Yeah.
Sorry, Gary Griffiths wants to know, have you ever tried brush on lacquer, or does it need to be spray on? You're talking about cover up the paint. I'd be willing to say it needs to be spray on, because the brush on lacquer would remove the Sharpie.
Yeah, anything with as little friction as possible over the top of the Sharpie. I mean, anything you wipe or brush, you've got the chance of taking away the Sharpie with it. Yeah, because there's chemicals in the lacquers that are going to react.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just to show you that the Sharpies, this is a CD goblet that I made. So that's just CD cases. And all I did was I just colored in the case, each case, there are obviously a lot of cases stuck together. And I just colored in each case a blue and purple, stuck them all in, and then it has a reaction with the CA glue. The Sharpies actually react with the glue, and it gives it kind of a mottled effect. And after it's set and you turned it, it gave it that real cool mottled blue onyx looking effect. So Sharpies are really
pretty cool.
A good tool and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that video. That was really cool when you did that. Very, very good. I watched when you stuck them all together and how you did it, and then turned that goblet. I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I've got I don't know where this little pot here. You probably watched that video as well. This is like a little. This is the very first project I did with CD cases. So it's a little box, and then it's got a purple heart lid, and that's had 1,170,000 views on YouTube, and that's what boosted my YouTube channel. So that little box, I've had a lot of people asking me how much I'd sell it for. I'd never sell that. It's, you know, it was an experiment. All the experiments that I've done a lot of experimenting, and always the first one that I try, I keep. Whether it goes wrong or not, I either keep the pieces or I'll keep the actual piece. So there's only
we've got about 10 more minutes left. Anything
cool.
you want to? Any more questions out there about, especially the mirror etching?
Yeah, I mean with the carving as well. With the same tool, you can etch and carve wood. This was what I was showing Charles this, because he's big into his skulls earlier. That's a skull mug that I did last Halloween. So I carved that out with the same tool, exactly the same tool as I've got there. And then I once I'd carved it and sanded it, I went over with a blowtorch, and all the raised areas it defined as if it was muscles or, you know, the bones, and then just hit it with a bit of tung oil, and that was that. So you can. There's all different things you can do with it. They're very universal, and you can get so many different types of blades and bits and things for them, and they're really cheap. You know, and I think if you're going to do anything with those tools, just get scrap bits of mirror. If you break a mirror, put it into a bag and throw it into the shed. And if you're thinking of doing this, just use those tiny little bits that you've broken, tape off the sharp edges, get your Dremel, and just start scrolling into it. And it doesn't matter if it breaks then. You can practice and you can learn how hard to push or how much shade. And, you know, always use, I'm big into recycling, and don't go buying a brand new mirror and wrecking it.
I found one thing. I've got the Dremal tool, and I've also got the flex shaft.
Yeah.
And I find that the hardest thing for me is keeping the collets, because I can't keep a collet on the flex shaft because it doesn't fit the other end.
Okay.
And, you know, I've some old tools I found got some collets that would work on both ends and hold my bits, but I bought a set of stuff like it at Harbor Freight that has all the tools in it, you know, all the polishers and all that kind of stuff, and it had a bunch of collets in it.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I hit the jackpot. They look, get home ready to get to work, and I try to poke one in. Too big, won't fit. I said, son of a gun.
Yeah. Well, what I do is
the collets don't fit. I can't hold it. Fits.
Well, what I do is I'll buy a pack of brass collets, and if they don't fit, I put them on the lathe and I turn them down.
Well, that would be a great option for me if I hadn't given my lathe to Charles Deering.
or even if you get a collet and a drill bit that fits in the inside diameter of the collet tight,
mm-hmm.
Put a little bit of CA glue onto the drill bit, glue your collet onto it, put your drill bit into a drill, run that, and then just put a file onto it. You can file it down, and then put a bit of heat onto the CA, and it will release it back off the drill bit.
Or
That's
get
nice.
your CNC running and cut you some collets.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that too. Well, anything else we need to know about the mirror etching?
No, just have fun and enjoy. The thing is with mirrors as well is that they're glass, and you can get a glass cutter. So you can cut your mirrors up into small circles, into shapes, and you can use them in other projects. You can, if you make a box, you can set a mirror with an etching in it on the inside of a box, a jewelry box or something like that that's personalized. You can, do you know, so there's so much you can do with etching mirrors. It's just a fun hobby, and they do really sell well. You can personalize. You can personalize.
We've got mirrors like you're talking about with the little wooden frames. I've bought them before at the dollar store and get them for $1 a piece.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like you can buy like 4 or 5 of them for $5, so you haven't lost a whole lot of money. You know what I'm saying? What are you laughing at, Russ? Just because I said the dollar for $1 a piece?
No, Donald.
Oh, Donald.
Donald did it.
But anyway, so they're not expensive. You're not going to tie a lot of money up in buying those cheap mirrors and using them. They're not.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
If you were to mess one up, I mean, so you've lost $1. I've lost a lot more money than that doing woodworking projects. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, what I've done with mirrors as well is if I've messed a particular picture that I've done up in one area of the glass, what I'll do is I'll keep that mirror for another project another day, and I'll take most of the mirror away and just have the picture as the mottled effect, if you know what I mean. It'll be, so you reverse it. You have more of the ground away surface and just leave the slight glass effect in the middle. So it's, you know, you can, even if you mess up a section of the mirror, you can always go back and use it again for something else.
Right.
I'm actually laughing here because it's good to see the chat side of it, because normally I'm the other side watching you guys laughing, and I don't know what you're laughing at.
Oh, Donald got me on that one.
Oh. Yeah, I said the first thing Russ Meadows is going to do, because I pick on him about a CNC all the time, is kick me when he sees me.
Well, we've had a real good turnout. We had up to 53 people watching us tonight.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've had Gary Griffiths over there, Ken Moon, Donna Presley, Robert Evans, Frank, my sponsor from Devobal Technologies, is over there in the chat section. Hello, Frank. How you doing? Opa's been over there. I'm trying to see. That's all I can see. It hasn't scrolled down fast enough. We're wearing them out. They're chatting slow right now. Usually they chat so fast I can't even hardly read the stupid thing. Desert Bum Woodworks is over there. Steve French from Wooden Stuff. My friend Steve French, he's over there. So we've had a real good turnout
I was
tonight.
wondering what kind of price range would be there.
For what?
What kind of a price range for what he was just showing?
What do you sell them at, Steve? Oh,
I think he's
somehow
gone.
Steve is muted. You've got muted, Steve, somehow.
Sorry, that was I remember to mute it, but then I forgot to take it back off. So that one that I was working on there, if it just has a small Santa Claus on it and then something like Happy Christmas across it, and then when I finish that piece, I'll have snowflakes and stuff like that coming down, and just kind of make it a real Christmassy scene. That mirror cost me €2, which is what, $2.50 or $3, I suppose.
I'd say $3. Yes, $3.
Yeah. If I leave it in that frame, I'm not sure I will, because that's just an MDF frame. It's not exactly a nice looking frame. I've got a lot of framed pieces that I've already rabbited out and got ready and mitered and ready to, I've got lengths that I can just cut and make frames. You can knock a frame up really quickly. You guys know that. I suppose I'd sell that mirror for probably about 35 or 40 euro.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'll probably have, without the talking and stuff like that, I probably have about an hour and a half's work in it.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah. And they're if you're doing Christmas markets, or if you're doing markets at all, where you've got a lot of people coming over, mirrors really do tend to draw people across. You can set up mirrors. You can have them on the floor against your pitch. You can have them on the table. You can have a big one up behind you if you've got a board behind you. And it will really, because it gives you that perception that your area is actually a lot bigger. Yeah. So it'll draw people towards the mirrors, and as soon as they see them, if you put that golden little piece of paper on there saying I can personalize here now, you can write someone's name on it right there and then you've got the sale.
Right. All right, we're down to the last couple of minutes. We have a little thing called Woodshop Confessions. So Steve, you're not going to get by without doing this. What is the most boneheaded, stupidest thing that you've done in your shop that after you did it, you went like, what the heck did I do that for?
Oh, right. There's probably quite a lot of them. Okay, so on not the MIDI lathe that I have here, I have a large professional lathe. I made a plyboard table that slots onto the bed of the lathe, so that I can, if I'm coloring or if I'm working on a piece, I can take it off of the chuck, put it onto the bed, and it won't damage the bed, and the ply protects it. So I had that on, and I put my cup of coffee down, and of course that's underneath where the chuck would be. So I go ahead and I lift my piece up that I was just working on, and I connect it back into the chuck, and I tighten it all up and all that. And I just turned the lathe on, and the piece picked hold of the cup, and it threw it up, and it bounced it off the ceiling. And lucky enough, I had the face shield on, and it bounced off the top of my face shield and soaked my face with coffee and blitzed the place. So, yeah. Always remember to remove the cup of coffee off the bed of the lathe before you go turning.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the cup didn't break either.
I throwing something like that kind of reminds me. One time I have a sanding mop, and I had it turned up fairly high speed, and I made an egg, and turned an egg on the lathe, and was just playing around with a piece of scrap wood. But anyway, I had the sanding mop, and I was or trying to sand it down with a sanding mop, and somehow that sucker grabbed a hold of it and threw it and shot it across. I mean, shot it across the entire shop over up against the wall on the other side of the shop. I mean, we're talking about 20, 30 feet that it threw it across over there. And I was thinking like, dang, I'm glad I wasn't standing in front of that.
Well, I have one small one. I have a video on my YouTube channel there. I had a cell phone that was driving me nuts. It kept falling out of coverage, and I was missing texts and all kinds of things. And I've actually got a video there on my YouTube channel where I put the mobile phone onto the lathe and I turned it, and it was actually on, and I turned it, and it kept going, kept going, and kept going. The lights all lit up as I got closer into the guts of it. But of course, I forgot that batteries explode if you touch metal on them. Oh. So I got down deep, and what you don't see on the video is the thing exploding and taking off across the shop. So.
Oh, by the way, it ruined my egg that I had turned, because once it hit the wall, it just messed it all up.
Oh, yeah, that's...
The yoke's on you.
Yeah, the yoke was on me, trust me. All right, guys. Well, we're down to the end of it. Thank y'all guys over there in the chat section for watching. Steve French is still over there. Donna Presley, Opa. They're all still over. Steve Bush is over there. They're all still over there. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to, let's see, Dave Gatton, Mark Lindsay, Charles Deering. They all cut out of here a little early. Chris, thank you. Donald, John, Russ Meadows, and a big thank you to you, Steve. I really appreciate you being on here tonight and doing this. It was really interesting.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been great to meet you guys as well.
Yeah, it's been great to meet you. Yeah, I've watched your videos and everything, but this is the first time I've had an opportunity to meet you. So
yeah, I chatted on Facebook quite a bit. It's the first time we've actually talked in person, I think.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Well, not in person. You know what I mean.
Yeah, it's kind of in person, because I want to tell you, if you ever get this opportunity, like a few times I went to some of the woodworking shows and met some of the guys, and I mean, you already know them. It's just now you're actually getting a physical meeting, so to speak, because you already know them and you've met them. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. They're very interesting. I've got a Dremel and I've got a flex shaft, and I've got another thing with a flex shaft on it. I am definitely going to try that just for the heck of it, just to see what it.
I've never even went to the flex shaft. I went from the regular Dremel holding it by hand to a pneumatic engraver. I never tried the flex shaft.
I've got the Dremel with the flex shaft, but I might try my pneumatic engraver, because you can turn it way down on RPM. So. Yeah, it's designed to cut very heavy stuff. Trust me.
Well, I mean, that's what I do my wood carving with. So.
Yeah. But thank you very much. Ken Moon says, Steve Twydell, great job.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Opa said, great demo, Steve. They're all over there saying great demo. They appreciate it. Gary Griffiths says, a Dremel with a flex shaft is easier to hold and control. Yeah, the flex shaft is a lot. I agree with you.
It's like a pencil.
It's a lot easier to hold than the big Dremel. Yes, there's no hands down about that. Steve French said, you let me know if you need a set of diamond bits. I've got several extra brand new sets. Hey, Steve, I'll hit you up. Steve, for those of you who don't know, Steve French from Wooden Stuff lives on. I'm only about 20 minutes away from him. Yeah, he's a close. I've actually been going over to his and helping him move into his new shop he's just had built. So, a great guy.
Got some more wood.
Yeah, he's got tons. Oh my God, that guy is a wood hoarder. I mean,
he's going to help moving some more wood.
He has got tons of wood. He's wanting me to take some of it, and I would have, except the days that we were out there moving the stuff, it was like we were trying to get him in his new shop so he didn't have to pay an extra month's rent in the storage place. So we were trying, and I said, I'll come and get some. I'm still planning on taking you up on that, Steve, by the way. I'll be out there getting some wood. But it was just I was such in a hurry trying to get him out. And then the one day that I was going to try to get some, things changed. We had a family thing arise, and I had to run and go do a few things. So, but anyway, that all being said, do what?
I said I'll swap some CD cases for some wood.
Yeah, really. All right, guys, we got to get out of here because I'm going to try to slide over there onto Dave's show in just a few minutes. So as soon as my show's over, go check out Dave Gatton on Dave Gatton on YouTube. That's his channel, Dave Gatton. So see y'all over there. And once again, thanks to all y'all over there in the chat. And thanks to you guys. We only got one thing left to do. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night. Good night to all. God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
You guys.
Be good.